Yay, I'm live. Who's going to paint along with me today? I've got my brushes wet. I have my apron almost on. Woohoo! I got my silicone shot today, so I had an hour. I got ready a little bit before I went to the doctor. We've got the best medical system in Northwest Arkansas. I left home, drove 20 minutes, walked right in, 10 minutes later, walked out, got in the car, and was home again in less than an hour. Well, I guess about an hour. So, anyway, that's pretty cool. I am on early. This is a live stream, so there's a lot of interaction with the people on chat. And if you are watching this from a recording, you can watch the live chat. That too. You can watch the live chat as well and see what everybody was talking about. And you can fast forward through things that are boring or repetitive or whatever. Hey, Gail. You going to paint along today? I know, talk about putting you on the spot, huh? I am early. I understand that, Gail. Besides that, I learned in workshops that painting along inhibited my picking up some tips and things that were verbal. So you can always paint along after you see it the first time. I know this much. I'm having fun with Jean's books. Understand. We've all got lives, don't we? It's bad enough for me to paint live with you guys. If I quit yawning. Oh, bless his heart. They're so, when they get sick, it's so pitiful because they can't tell you where it hurts. Ours are both really healthy right now. We've got to wait another 6 months, though, for a little bit to be a potential for a litter. And if little boy doesn't get his act together, we're taking him to the doctor. Does the vet say he's there yet? It's a hard call to make. We've had to do it twice with our mini schnauzers. You have to think about their quality of life, not your loss of having them gone. And that is tough. Oh my goodness. He'll be getting friendly with the furniture, won't he? We may be here all alone. Did you get an invite? Every Thursday at 4. Eileen sometimes posts that there's nobody on 4. I guess she forgets about me, but I hope that doesn't keep people from dropping in on Thursdays. Good. I'm glad you got a notice. They'll be along in a minute. I don't know who else is streaming. We'll see. Lizzie might be on, finishing up. I don't see anybody else. Beck might be on. It's been on an hour or so. We're cool. We'll just wait for a little bit. And if not, I will teach to one. She was just on according to the subscriptions. She must have popped on for some reason. No biggie. I'm looking for my blue tin, my green tin. There's 4. There's green. Oh, okay. I stand corrected. Since we are just playing with color, I'm not going to stick to my limited palette rule. Because the only way you're going to get to know these Daniel Smiths is to work them. What did I pull out here? I pulled out a few. I haven't gotten, I have a sack of things that I have not put in my tins yet. I need to take a day and do that. J-Day. Appetiti. Hey, Christy. We're just chatting a few minutes and waiting for folks to get in wherever they may have been. Make sure all the cables are out of the way. Oh, all right. Well, all you 9 people, hit the like button and we're going to go. Thanks, Gail. All righty. Since we've got a few folks, on Tuesday, yeah, I do too, Christy. It's challenge. On Tuesday, we reviewed Gene Haines' book on atmospheric watercolor. And that was my first real stream using several cameras. And if you have a book on, or if I have a book that's electronic instead of paper, I can show it on my screen with multiple cameras. I don't see what I did with the other book. Where if I'm holding a book in my hand, it takes up my whole desk and you can't see it. So it takes a little bit of finagling to be able to stream that way. But by sharing my screen, it works. Oh, there it is. It's like I love this book, but in order to set it up, I mean, I could take screenshots of the pages. That would work. But anyway, yeah, her books are fabulous. I love her style too. So, yesterday, let me refresh everybody. Hi, Azure. On Tuesday, we painted, or I attempted to paint what she had in her book, and several of you liked it better than what she had done. And I came in yesterday on this one and kind of made a few harder edges here in the middle because it looked like it was just ring around the rosy. And this one, the main difference to her style is that I've got real strong, deep colors. Like they could have been watered down a little bit more to keep that ethereal look. But between you and me and the fence post, nobody knows about that sort of stuff unless you're looking at the book. And then I spent probably 2 hours working on this rose that I had done in gouache. And finally got it where I like it. I would like it to be a little lighter around some of these areas, but it's okay. It works. And it looks like somebody died in the flower garden. Or maybe they just pricked their thumb in the rose garden. And then I thought, well, I wasn't ready to quit, so I painted this little guy. And I painted him off the, see my cursor? Off one of the ones in that same book, the atmospheric flowers. And that one's on the left. The book is on the left, and mine is on the right. And they bear absolutely no resemblance to each other. Thanks, Azure. But it was really fun, and I learned a lot. I think y'all have heard me say that I'm not real sure you learn that much by copying somebody else's art. But if you if the instructions are good enough and you paint by the words as much as you paint by the finished picture, I didn't paint by the finished picture, so had I done that, I would have immediately copied where everything was in hers. But this is mine, and it looks like more like me. But the prettiest color combination is cad lemon or cad yellow light with opera that none of us like to use because it's fugitive. I have no idea what it would do over time mixed with another paint. It would probably just fugi all by itself and you'd be left with yellow, and a dull gray. Hey, Lena. Glad to see you. So this flower reminded me of Georgia O'Keeffe, and I pulled up the one it reminded me of. Big old picture. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see if I can get it over. There. I think you should be able to see most of it now. This is kind of like walking and chewing gum at the same time. I love Georgia O'Keeffe's work because of its simplicity and probably the realistic quality. She's got a very hard edge around the entire flower, and she's got some hard edges on her leaves as well. So hers is the antithesis of Jean Haines' flower. Neither is right or wrong, and you may catch me painting one way or the other often. So there's your art lesson for the day. And I thought that we might find a place to put those. I want to do that one over. And this time I'm going to do it on Strathmore. Let me get my screen back up. And I want my Kindle. Okay, there we go. May have to move that over just a little bit. And I want my iPhone. Oops. Here's my palette. Sorry to be stumbling so much, but that's okay too. Her paintings use it often, and she calls it Jimson weed. I'm just going to take a piece of this watercolor paper. This is Strathmore, so I shouldn't be working on it, but oh well. I think I'm going to clip it down. I don't like, I'm probably one of few in the world. I don't like my watercolors taped down solid, and I have a good reason for that. And my reason is, with good paper, See if I can get that one down a little bit more in size. Okay. Paper stretches when it gets wet. Everybody pretty much knows that. When you tape it down, that stretch doesn't have anywhere to go, and that's when you get the ripples. You're not keeping ripples out by stretching it. And then when the paper dries, of course, then it goes back down to flat because the fibers lose the moisture and they go flat. Why not just let the paper be free to start with, to stretch and shrink and whatever as it wants to? You might find that you get less of the wavies, uppy downies, because the paper can just stretch as much as it wants. So that's my theory for today. Trying to make sure where I am in your screen. If I move this, oh, I discovered something else today. Haha. Hoo-hoo. I was almost ready to start it. Whoops. There, that gives us a little more viewing room. I can use StreamYard with my camera set up. The only thing I've got to figure out how to make room for is a second monitor. And then what you're seeing right now on your screen, like I'm seeing right now through my iPad, direct on YouTube, that will be my screen in StreamYard. So essentially hey Cheshire, where that would come in handy is that y'all could watch me paint here, and then I could switch to one of your screens if you were painting along. Cool, huh? Move that again so it's... All right, now, ow, 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 I stubbed my... Okay, I've got an assortment of brushes. I've got out my longtime favorite synthetic. There are times when you're doing the end work on something that you don't want a brush that holds a tremendous amount of water, which synthetics don't. Natural hair brushes, on the other hand, are designed to hold a ton of water, especially in your bigger sizes. This is one of my China, got it from AliExpress. It's a squirrel hair mop or quill, as they're called. And I've got Jean's liner. Is that what she calls it? I think it's a liner. And then I've got my Cheap Joe's. Today is the Lizard's Lick. This is the one that has a big fat barrel on it down at the bottom. And then in the middle of those shorter hairs are longer hairs that are about a 1/4 inch longer, which enables you to make some real cool strokes. These are inexpensive too. So next time you treat yourself to a Cheap Joe's, and I want to try a few of these colors that this is Amazonite. My phone is not playing. Sometimes one of the apps goes south. There. No big deal. We got it. Except I don't have it Okay, so I put out a little bit of make it real good and juicy. It's a blue-green. It doesn't matter what blue-green you're going to use. And then I've got some yellower greens, so I'm cool there. Hey, Devin. Good to see you. Hey, Jilly. So the premise to some of Jean's work is that sometimes she paints a real loose background and daubs out some paint and finds a flower in that real loose background. Other times she starts by painting around a shape, which might be a daffodil or in this case this simple flower, and then she will bring that out from the flower and gives you a good open space here to work with. So I'm going to remember the Jimson weed, and I'm going to make those little things like that. And then I'm just going to run this and let it run. And I can come back and add some more dark. And I can soften this out with more water. You clean my brush first. I'm going to use some of that juicy goodness down in there. These are the colors I had from the other day. And I don't want to go all the way around. Here's my flower shape. Hers is on the right. Got a dry brush. I'm trying to kind of follow what she did so I can learn from it. The trick to painting from someone else's work is that then you need to apply it to your own work. You need to get your own flowers and see if you can do it from your own source work. And now I'm going to put a little bit of this is cad lemon. And I'm going to soften a few edges. Just I said I was going to do it like she did. She didn't soften anything that I could tell. But she did put a few little things down here under that flower. And I need some more paint. This Amazonite has a wonderful, I'm not sure that's the one I put down, granulation. That wasn't the one I had before, is it? Alrighty. Now, here comes some fun. No, that's not right. flower wasn't cad yellow either. It was Quinn Gold. And I'm forcing it to drip. Now while that's still wet, I'm going to pick up my opera. I don't think y'all were there and were here in the beginning. I've never really used opera in any kind of a real painting because of its fugitive quality, but I want you to take a look at how pretty this is when it blends with that Quinn Gold. And now I want to get I like dry brushing. It's where your brush is just barely damp and you can pick up spots and move with them. Okay, now the next thing that she suggested was to use the opera and delineate a few petal marks. And I was on bee paper last night when I did mine. And it kind of got dry on me before I was ready for it to. And I don't want them to be perfect. I want them to be kind of broken and soft. Y'all know I've told you before how much I love my paint system. It takes about 5 minutes to put them up. I'm going to add a little bit of that in here. And they're all labeled, so there's no question as to where they go. And I'm going to thin that out a little bit, soften that out. Okay, now, what was the color I used up there? It wasn't Amazon, was it? Wrong end. Works better if you get the right end. Maybe it was. This is Strathmore watercolor series 300. I don't know what that is. That's part of a dried leaf. Is that funny or what? probably should have finished the greens before I went on because they are getting a little bit too dry to mess with. She uses copious amounts of water. And I forgot that I didn't make any stem-like pieces. Now I'm going to hold my brush at the end and I'm going to keep my elbow off the table, Mabel. And this is the Cheap Joe's. It was just the one I grabbed. And I'm just going to let the brush do the walking. And don't forget the puddle that forms in the middle of your plate. That to me is the holy grail. There's one. I'm going to put just a little more finishing on this. And there you kind of have it. There's that leaf again. Now you can diddle all you want, but you're not going to improve it that much. This should be softer. Not should. Could be. Not one of these will turn out the same. Mine is a little bit more obvious right in here than hers. See if I can get hers up a little bit bigger. Okay, 600. See if it'll take a type in. No. So 400 is as big as it's going to go. I can get it bigger right here. And then I want display capture. I'm talking to myself. I was moving the wrong one. That's okay. She's more confident in her strokes, like this great big leaf right here. But I'll take it. Simple, yes. And it kind of looks like the flower's throwing up, but now this is Strathmore. Here's the one I did yesterday. Oops. Let me get this out of the way. Move this. And quite honestly, I think the little one. Oh, cool, Julie. I think I saw your post. I think this one has a little more freshness. What do y'all think? Even though I was rigid with stuff coming out equally and stuff coming straight down equally. Cool. I don't think you were here when I told you that, when I told everybody I figured out how to do this screen and still use StreamYard. So in essence, a few of you who might want to paint along could be a guest, and I could do this demo and then switch to your screens intermittently. I think that'd be fun. You like the bigger one, Susan? This one's rigid. I do like that darker color though. See, it's kind of hard sometimes to tell if it's the color that you're not crazy about or if it's the something else like the looseness or whatnot. All right, I'm gonna see if we can find another flower. I want to take that down in size so I can see it. I don't care for that one. She's calling these roses. Flower meaning these are kind of pinky. Now the key there is to be able to paint this. Whoops. Let's do that. That's going to be a corker. Thank you. All right, let's put these up. Now, let me fix this so y'all can see it. Babies are home. It's cool enough today they could go with Poppy and his rat killing. I'm assuming that that is her source photo of you know, 2 roses. So, I've painted 3 of her style, and it's time to see if I can bring that technique into a floral source. Because it's easy to copy somebody else, you know, with enough practice. Hey, Pop. It's not so easy. And I've got I've got some Winsor Newton here, arches, but it's this big pad. So if I take this and fold it in half, remember we did some playing with color wheels? Oop. I got a little bit too confident there and kind of ripped my paper. I'm just going to fold this in half. Use a bone folder. Y'all need to know how to tear this. No, I don't know about him. I don't think, unless he was a botanical painter. I'm going to fold this back on itself, and I'm going to bone folder it again. Nobody answered me if you want to know how to do this, but so I'm going to show you anyway. Bone folder. You just do this 3 or 4 or 5 times and you'll weaken the fibers along that crease. Some people like to wet this, which is totally fine. You just take a brush with wet water. I crack me up. And then I'm going to fold it back. And of course, as usual, Vicki was not precise. I would never make an architect. There'd be buildings that didn't quite match up. Walls. Okay. Put that back. You're supposed to stay in the bucket. Okay. I'm holding the corners with my elbows, and I'm just ripping it like that. And that also gives you a nice little torn edge. Doesn't really matter about the decal. That's what this kind of an edge is from a pad, because they're all cut. I just don't like to cut edges because you can do it straighter if you tear it. So we've got 2 pieces of paper there ready to go. I'm going to clamp this down again. Because it does sometimes help to have it on a rigid backing. If I were standing up and painting, I could just put it on a non-absorbent board and just lay it on there and get it wet and just move it and flop it. Well, that'd be cool. I'd love to see it. All right, let's make sure that I've got everything in line now. Move this over and then move it Come on. Lost my mouse. Go ahead. What are you doing? It's out of focus. What's going on with that? There. Quit messing with me. Haven't noticed that problem before, have y'all? If you forget something, send me a message and I'll answer it. Now, I need to think for a minute. And I want to see a little bit more of that. Well, that's all there is. The green line is all there is. I wonder what that color would be. Warm red. That should be a cool red. I'm looking at the color of peachy in the flower. So it could be one of these with a little bit of the opera, or it could be what we just did, the gold with the opera. That's what I'm going to try. The hell with fugitive. All right, now learning what I just did. I want a green, and roses are a little bit cooler leaf. The hooker green from Windsor is good. Green appetiti. I'm going to try that. You know I'm making a joke here. There's that one, and some perline. I like perline. Need a little more than that. Quit being stingy. And jadeite. Nope, I want this one. Okay, so I'm going to do some bigger green petals around a shape of that rose, similar to what we just did. And I'm going to put that rose right here in the sweet spot, about like that. And then I'm going to overlap it with the next one and then have a bud coming up. So I can actually wet that. Let's drop it down about right here. I could have some space. Let's go ahead and put some space. Make them maybe a little different in size. And then I can come up and put that bud, which is pointing right at the corner, which doesn't need to be doing that. So let's move it. Let's move it down here. Okay. See the glistening? Can you hear me? Snowflakes. So that's a way that you can start it. Oh, okay, cool. And that's not working right now. That's probably not enough to do it. Anyway, I did, see right there? I just drew some circles where, excuse me, I know it, it'll come back. Susan says it's the solid white paper. Anyway, the point to that was to let you know that you can make a rough shape with water, and if you don't like it, you can just let your paper dry. Got it? So based on what we just learned, and that rose has a real jiggity jaggedy edge. Come on now. We haven't had that problem with you since we started this exercise. So the rose has a real strong shape. There's it better. It's lagging again, so. I think Susan was right. And I'm going to put some of this. I'm also painting with, come on, damn it. Why is it doing this to me? It's coming in and out. All right, so there's one. This little rosebud right here could be, I'm just going to use this shape that formed right here with the water. Let's see, I want some of that yellowy green. And I put some of that up here. All right, now my other flower is, let's just do it. Kind of like that. Ooh, that's strong. And I want a little bit. I put a lot of water right over here. Let's see, it's this green. See how much water I've got on there? Now I'm going to check for hard edges. She just dances with hers, and it's really charming to watch. All right. I got this bottle out to show you guys. It's got ultramarine blue in it that I mixed up 10 years ago. And this bottle has gone through 2 moves, and it's still got some in it that hasn't spilled. So you can make your own liquid watercolors. All right, now. Yeah, I like the green too, and green is not one of my faves, probably because I haven't used it enough to really enjoy it. And I'm missing some hard edges. I mean, remember what I told you Tuesday, you can always add a hard edge back, but you can't, it's harder to get rid of a hard edge. And I'm letting them move. Now, you see this paper? This is the Winsor Newton 140, Arches 140. And there is not a ripple or a wrinkle in that paper anywhere. And it's because the paper can do this on its own and come back on its own. I'm real tempted to take a hairdryer, but I'm not gonna, because these pigments, some of them can still move. They're still wet enough that they can move. Got a nice little cauliflower right there. I happen to find those entrancing. Yes, Susan, and typically, hey Beth, typically, like in oil painting in particular, you'll figure out where your center of interest is, and that's where your darkest dark, your lightest light, and your hardest edges will be. Everything else is a supporting actor to that. And I've got some that I could soften over here. It's almost too late. Okay, Susan, two different heights. You mean where the flowers are located? Like one is really more like that. Is that what you meant? Comparison to the composition in the picture? I'm going to switch over to a number 10 just because I'm thinking about doing these flowers. I might as well just jump in and do them, huh? Yabbity dabbity doo, I love you. Woo-hoo. There, I said my prayers. I'm going to do something similar to what we did on the other flower. Hey, Jilly. I'm using quinacridone gold, and it is an irregular shape. We're not seeing the palette now. Oh, okay, I got it. There. You can see it a little bit. A little bit. Maybe if I put it down here. Yeah, the leaves are just a suggestion of, and I don't know. Whoops. I had gold on my brush. Oopsie. No harm, no foul. Okay, quit being silly. This is serious. Okay, so I'm looking at the top flower. It's got a shape kind of like this. And kind of like that. Just shapes. I don't give a darn what I'm painting. It's just shapes. Now I'm going to come back in. I put my brush in the water and then I dabbed it on my 100% all natural bird's eye diaper. It's hanging over my shoulder. I want this to be soft. Now let's take a gander this other flower, and we've got a mark like that, and then it comes up, and it comes around. You might have a little bit up there. It'll be about a little darker, but I'm not going to do that right this second. I'm going to come back in with the opera. Ooh, the wetness is perfect. The wetness of the paper. It's such a beautiful color. Opera, you have my heart. Too bad you're no good. All right, now we looked at some reds. Let's see, I've got this. This would be the gold. That's the one I want. We'll see what this looks like completely. That's pretty good. This is Core Permanent Scarlet. See, now I've got my handy dandy label, and then I know which tub it's in. And my bird's eye diaper fell. Sometimes with watercolor, we all have a tendency to get it too light, almost like we're afraid of putting dark colors on it. Well, we're certainly not afraid of it here, are we? I've got one little corner up there that doesn't have something else on it. And it will dry lighter. And I did a no. All these little petals just kind of overlap each other, and I'm not really following the photograph. Just kind of dancing around it. And this is where having a lot of water on your brush comes in handy. Not because it's dripping wet, but because it's natural hair and it's holding the wetness longer, but it's not dripping. I'm going to use this little synthetic, and I want to come in and soften some of these. Excuse me. Probably should have softened these as I went a little bit. Because they're almost too dry now. You see why I switched to this brush? I don't mind scrubbing with it. Huh. Take a little break. Check on you guys. Wait a minute. Okay, Susan, the top right petals, on the right where the background is seen through the petals, right up in here. Oh, cool. I love that moo glow. Is it anything like moose poop? I'm joking. Now, a la Jean, I probably have too much green, too strong a green. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna put a little bit of I mixed a little bit of the I hope that thing is working. Has the palette changed at all? I need to get Cascade Green. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I mixed a little bit of the um, Quinn Gold. And I switched to the Lizard's Lick Cheap Joe's because it makes weird marks. And I'm just adding a little bit of that peachy color that we liked on the other one that we did with Opera. So this is a good color substitution for Opera. I'm not putting it everywhere, and I just want it to look like it grew there. Wee all the way home. Now there's a petal right here that's really greenish. Probably from the green behind it showing. And I think the iPad took itself offline, or the iPhone, the palette one. So that's a perfect spot for one of those little petals coming out here. And so let's do that. Let's just see what happens. Loving that white edge right there. Dip in water, rub it off. This brush is not real good for trying to pull just a little more white. Ready? And we've got it. Boy, this just kind of worked to our favor. Thanks, Susan. I I started with watercolor. I'm back on this little brush. I don't know why. And it was so freaking hard. I'm gonna see if I can do that again. I'm gonna work on the upper left-hand corner of that. Right after I delineate that, just a hair. And I am so lucky that I worked with Charles Reed so much. But he had 50 years of experience. So what came naturally to him was way over my head as a beginner. Um, and as I kept studying with him, um, and studying his books and taking more classes from him, I learned more. But this is loose, but you're still able to enjoy the process. His is kind of a different kind of loose. And he does his all at one go. For example, if he's left us now, but I got a hard edge right there, so there's not going to be much I can do. I dipped into the opera. He was a master. Where was I? Right here. He's a John Singer Sargent, Winslow Homer type watercolorist. I don't want to be too rambunctious here. You all realize this is such good practice for me as well. I can look at a pretty book and enjoy all the pictures and go, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's how she did that. And then never go in and try to practice. That brush isn't doing me much good in this step. Those flowers are not as pink, but that doesn't mean that mine can't be pink. Picking up a little bit of that green. Remember, get your brush wet, put water on your paper, and then squeeze your brush with your Bird's Eye 100% natural diapers, and you can get a little bit of the color out. Now this shape right here looks exactly like a rose leaf, so that's what it will become. keep going so I don't scare myself. Okay, that would be I'm going to go into this color that's down at the bottom of my plate. I'm using what the water did as an idea of what to do. Now, instead of painting anymore on the inside of the leaf, I'm gonna come in and do some negative painting. And I'm gonna make sure that that blends out with the other. I'm not paying attention to the kind of color I'm picking up because they're all kind of mixing in the bottom of my plate now. Where was it? Right here? Right here. Oop. There's another little leaf. Whoops. That was my painted over my leaf. It's okay, there are no mistakes. Where's Joycey today? I'm gonna go back to that loose goose. See what I can do here. takes two people to paint, one to do it and one to tell them when to stop. And that leaf is just about got enough because it's not the star of the show. You can just start seeing all kinds of leaf shapes. Back to the number 10. You should always work with a brush as big as you can handle until it's almost too big. And then that little thing has a dee 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 dee. And it doesn't really have it, but mine does. And then it I'm gonna have to have some stronger color. I'm painting the little bud now. Get a little bit of the gold. This would be a good case where a little bit of gouache would come in handy. Looks kind of dorky. Oops, that was pink. And that one's coming from okay, now I was going to put a little more of the just here and there just to make a little value change. Come here, little cheap brush. Now if I mix a little bit of red and green with some of that purple left over from the other day, I can get a darker color to come right in here with. And it will look good because those colors are on my plate, so they're not brand new colors to this little exercise. And then few little. Now, I think I've got, it is going to dry lighter. Actually, down in there, it could be a little stronger. It does need some white. And I'm not a purist to the extent that I will never use white. This is white gouache. You can use Chinese paint or Chinese white that comes with a lot of kits. Helps a little. Here and here, good. I was afraid I was going too far. Look at that leaf shape right there. My goodness gracious. That calls for a celebration. Be mindful of your edges. So there's a leaf shape on that side that's on the outside of the leaf, and over here I'm going to paint the inside of the leaf. And I'm going to dab a little bit of red in there because rose leaves have, it's not red, it's my Quinn color. And try to bring the two edges together. I mean the two sides. taking part of it down because I don't want it to be in your face. There, I think I can live with that. See, I almost lost my white over here. I can do that again. Look at this leaf shape. Got another one up here if you wanted to finish them all, but you don't. Okay, so I've got my center, and y'all bored yet? It's okay if you are. 5:30. Now I said I was going to soften those as I went along, didn't I? They certainly are soaking in real quick. Use that to my advantage too when I these roses are a little more salmon, like a real light peachy color. Damn, that rose at the top's not looking too shabby as it dries. Slow and steady. See, I want a little bit of that. Damn, I'm impressed. I haven't done this kind of work very much. I think I might fall in love with it and need to do some more. Kind of doing some sloppy negative painting where some other petals might fall. I'm having so much fun with this, just taking my time with it, which I usually get in a hurry. petals get a little bit bigger as they go out. Incorporate that green. Now, y'all said you wanted to see this kind of stuff, so that's what you're getting. I hope this is what you had in mind. Come on now. Loosen up just a little. Ah, good. All right. Ooh, man, I am tickled with that. Those that go into the green are just perfecter than that one. That one, these could be softened a little bit. All right, let's see if we can do this again over here. I didn't really mean to have an outline. Cheapo brush. I don't mind some of it. Get a little bit of that gold. The on that lower rows, some of these are almost translucent, which I think I can get if I can lift a little bit of the green. I'm adding a little bit of green, not for any particular reason. And now I think I'm just going to make this one another petal without the green. I'm trying not to do them all the same too. And then we're just about going to have this little rose where we want it. Put it on, take it off. It's what you do in oil painting a lot. I'm going to leave these. I'm not all that happy with them. But I do need some more to clean up some of the greens around it. Well, come on, give me some paint. Guys, I think we're just about done with this one. It needs something right here. Need to do a little work on that center. Forgot where it was. Ooh, I don't know what that was, but it was dark. Too dark for me. Let's see what else we can do there. Are y'all seeing my palette at all? And may need to work on that a little bit. paint is just soaking right in, which arches should give you a little bit of time. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me on this. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Alrighty. Yeah, it's small, but are you seeing any movement? I know it's backwards, but that's because I put my um, phone in the stand backwards. This should be real. Damn, look at that in that monitor. I'll break my arm patting myself on the back. This is not normal for me. In fact, I would say this is the first time I've really tried to emulate Jean. Soften some of these. And for some reason, it's not broadcasting from here, so I'll work on that before we do this again. Okay, so how long do y'all want to stay on Jean's stuff till we all of us have a chance to enjoy it? I don't like to just jump from one thing to the next until you've explored this as good as you can get it. Lord knows I've got books. I've got Tom Lynch. I've got books on pouring, not acrylic, pouring watercolors. And every one of them I have purchased with the idea of someday taking the time to go through them. Trying to soften that a little bit, it got too hard on me. Alrighty. Ta-da! Yeah, I'm going to have to leave too because it's my vodka time. Now, I don't always do this, but I'm going to. A lot of times in my oil paintings, I carve my name into the wet paint before I'm finished with it because I like the texture. And here's the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and sign it. And then when I take pictures of it to show what we did today. It'll have my name on it. I am really tickled. You don't hear me say that very often. This could be better, but I'm not going to criticize it. Now, the real critiquer is in the living room. Mr. I don't even have to think about it. I can go out and paint a rose, Ross. And he can. He amazes me. Let me look at it again in the screen. I like that. It almost looks like the top rose is getting more light. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks for being with me. I'm glad I've got the OBS broadcaster fixed because that makes anything that's in my computer doable for a paint, which also leaves us a million scenes of Europe and France and all kinds of my source photos, in addition to any other digital books I have. So I think that we would not have been able to do this without the extra work I put in over the weekend on that. So that's all. Bye bye. I will see you on Tuesday unless I feel like popping in this weekend for another test on StreamYard and figure out this little baby. Okie dokie. Over and out. Find out where to over and out it. I enjoyed it so much.